The single string technique on the banjo can sometimes seem like a modern concept, but it was first popularized by Don Reno, one of the most important figures of the first generation of bluegrass musicians. Since then, players like Bela Fleck and Noah Bukowski and Ryan Kavanagh have taken this technique to new heights, and yet many players still struggle with this technique due to a lack of licks or tunes or influences relative to Scruggs and melodic style. So today let's remove all the mystery and get into everything you'll need to incorporate the single string style into your playing. For those who don't know already, single string means playing linear phrases like a guitar or a mandolin or a fiddle by alternating the thumb and index finger on one string at a time. With single string, because we're not limited to using open strings, we can play basically any melody in any key anywhere on the neck. However, that flexibility comes at the cost of being technically demanding. That doesn't mean we can't develop speed and dexterity though, so let's go over the basic technique for single string. Before we do anything with our left hand, let's nail down exactly what our right hand is supposed to be doing. Generally, we're going to alternate our thumb and index finger, kind of like a downstroke and upstroke with a flat pick. Start by alternating these fingers on just one string. Then try moving between strings. Obviously, the best way to practice this is with a metronome, so you can check out my metronome basics lesson if you want to know more about how to do that. Now, assuming you're comfortable with that concept, we can add the left hand. But before I do that, I want to talk about one more technical aspect of this style. One of the main pitfalls that people fall into with this style is that it can sound choppy and rough. There's a wide range of sounds that we can and should get out of the banjo, but generally we want smooth transitions between notes. So when you do add your left hand, try this. Start by moving between any two notes on the same string. Often when I ask people to do this, there are large gaps between each note. Instead, make sure each note rings until the exact moment that you switch to the next note. This is how we want to treat everything that we play with the single string style. And as you progress with single string, and you play faster and faster, you'll notice that it's harder and harder to have smooth transition between notes. All that means is that you're going to have to backtrack a little bit and play a little slower and pay a lot of attention to the exact moment when you transition from one note to another. At first, it's going to take your full attention, and you're really going to have to decide that you want to switch from one note to another at a particular time. But the more you do this, the more you build the habit of playing smoothly between notes. If you never actually make the choice to practice this way, then you're not going to make a habit out of playing smoothly. The habit is going to be just to play however you naturally play without thinking about it. And for some people, that's great. But for me, it's not. I often have to go back to the drawing board and practice really slowly just to make sure everything's going exactly the way that I want it to. So, assuming you're willing to put in that kind of work with that kind of attention, here's a version of the fiddle tune Whiskey Before Breakfast in the single string style. For some of you, playing a tune in this style is a complete departure from the kind of playing that you're used to. It can be a little confusing or even a little intimidating. But all you need to do in this situation is maintain some realistic expectations about how long it should take you to learn this sort of thing. If you haven't spent much time on this in the past, then it doesn't make sense that this would be easy for you, so be patient with yourself. On the other hand, if you don't spend time with this, then you can't really expect yourself to actually make progress, so you also have to be honest with yourself. So we can use single string style to play fiddle tunes, but we can also use this technique to play licks throughout our Scruggs style playing. Here's a version of 9-Pound Hammer that utilizes some common single string phrases. Finally, one of the most valuable aspects of single string is that we can use it to improvise. So here are a couple scales to get you started. Because of the limited range of the banjo, we're going to go from the lowest note to the highest note in this position for each scale, even if that means we're not starting on the root of that scale. This is great, but we don't have to play these scales in just one position. For instance, here's the G major scale across the neck. And as long as you take the time to learn and memorize these shapes, you'll be able to improvise all over the neck in any key. And this isn't really a lesson about improvisation, but for now I can say this. As long as you know these shapes and you're comfortable with moving between them, then all you have to do is play something other than just the scale up and down. That's improvisation. There's a lot more to it, but that's a good place to start, and you want to get comfortable moving around these scales, making choices. So if you'd like the tablature for all of these examples in PDF format, then you can head to my Patreon page at patreon.com/EliGilbertBanjo, which is where I post all the tablature and bonus practice tips, live streams, all kinds of stuff that you can't find here on YouTube. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about Bluegrass Banjo, then go ahead and subscribe to this channel. And let me know in a comment below what else you'd like to hear about in a video like this. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.